Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing my second episode in my Metaverse Grammar series. In this episode we're going to be talking about question marks. So as always, first thing we want to do is greet our user, let them know what we're talking about. And then when it comes time to the test, I'll show you how we can use increment environment logic boxes to act as a scorekeeper in a way. But okay, so moving forward, I'm going to just greet the student, and then I'll have them say, what's a question mark? Okay, and then we'll bring up a picture of a question mark that I got from the internet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this picture just like how I did in my period grammar exercise. We're going to have this picture up there so that they'll always have a visual representation of a question mark. So okay, so we're going to say, funny you should ask. A question mark is a symbol, question mark. And just like how I did with the period one, I'm going to put it right there. So a question mark is a symbol used to represent a question. Actually, I have to say is a symbol used to show when a question is being asked. I'll leave it just capital normal. So question is being asked. Then we'll transition to our next scene, where we'll give a little bit more insight about question marks. There are a few other instances when you can use a question mark, such as when you pair it with an exclamation mark. So the question marks are very specific. Period. They are only used when someone is asking about something. Period. And then we'll say, just like a period, a question mark goes inside of quotations if the quotations come at the end of a question. Period. Okay. And then I'll give them an example. In this case, I'll try to think of a quote that ends in a question. I have one. Here's an example. Are you not entertained? Maximus. That is a reference to a very old, but well, maybe not very old, but an old but a good movie. So let's see if any of you guys can catch it. But okay, so that's an example of how you use a question mark, like so. And then with question marks, what we want to do is we want to also let them know where they can be found on the keyboard. I think once people see it on their keyboards, then that's an even better representation. So on a keyboard, a question mark is located to the right of a period. Okay. Very straight. Very straightforward, right? Okay, and so now we're going to get to the part of our video that is a test. For this, we're going to need different answers that will lead to different outcomes. Let's see what you've learned. Which of these sentences ends with a question mark, period. And so this in particular, I think it's going to be helpful for per se Spanish speaking students, because the way how they work is they use their punctuation marks. They'll be at the beginning and end, but in particular in English we only put them at the end. So what we're going to do is we have our multiple choice question, then we're going to want to have our outcomes. We'll actually only need 2 despite having 4 answers, because 3 of these answers will lead to this one, which will say that it's wrong. Sorry, but that's incorrect. A question mark. A question mark looks like a hook. And I personally intentionally leave hints vague because I don't want to outright give away the answer. But if you feel that the hint is too vague, then you could even go as far as to replace the incorrect box with a web page that leads to, you know, Merriam-Webster or any sort of educational website. But I'm just a bigger fan of, learning by doing, so that's why I try to leave it vague. So try again, and then we're going to have this transition to scene 6, which is our multiple questionnaire. Now with these, we're going to create different random sentences, and 3 of them are going to be incorrect and 1 will be correct. So the weather is fine. It's a beautiful day. And that one ends with a exclamation mark, so hopefully by not even recognizing that symbol, they'll steer away from it. However, if they miss it out, then that also works, because describing the exclamation mark as having a hook should also steer them away from or describing the question mark as having a hook should steer them away from the exclamation mark, which has a broad flat design. So let's see. Another random sentence we could use is, thank you for the food. And then with this one, we're going to put this as our correct answer, and it's, how are you doing? Okay, so now we have multiple answers to this. What we need to do now is we need to go into our environment properties, and we need to go to increase environment or increment environment property. What we're going to have it do is we're going to link our correct answer to this block by using transition block, and then we're going to use increment environment property, and then we're going to name it exactly what was listed in the answer. Looks like I didn't fix that typo, and that's important. Be careful for typos. So how are you doing? So this key is named the same as our correct answer, and it will give a value of 1, while the other ones won't give a value at all. Then we go to transition scene, transition to scene 7, and this will come at the end of our experience. All these other ones, however, are going to transition right to scene 8. And scene 8 transitions to scene 6, so we have a loop. Loops are very helpful when you want to do a quiz sort of experience, or when you want to, test information to see if it's retaining. But yeah, in this particular one, the increment environment property, that will allow it to register this as a correct answer. And what you can do as well is you can create another block that says check if an environment property exists, and then what you do is you would link it to increment environment property. So let me actually change that to transition to block, transition to environment property exist. And we're going to name this as well, how are you doing? And then if the property exists, we'll transition to scene 7, in which we'll congratulate the student on working it out. So congrats, you did great. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm just excited. Tune into my exclamation point video to get excited too. And then we'll just put something at the end. Thanks for the invite. Bye. And we'll have this in the experience. And so everything else, now we just have to go back and make sure that it all links together. I believe I forgot to put a symbol in here, so I'll pick something a little goofy, I suppose. I'll pick a birthday cake. So we'll have this transition to scene 2. We'll have this transition to scene 3. And I always use short responses like okay, alright, got it, just so that it's, it's a simple answer, so I don't feel it needs to take a lot of space. But you can put in something a little bit more adventurous, like in this instance, I'll say, where can I find it? and then we'll have it transition to scene 5. I believe that's next. Yeah. And now it's scene 6. Oh, sorry about that. Scene 6. I think I've got it. And then we have it transition over to scene 6. And so yeah, everything is linked up and it should be good to go. But we just need to give it a test to make sure. Okay, and so everything checks out. In particular, of note, if you ever use an increment property, an environment, check if an environment property exists. Just be sure that everything links up and is working out just fine. If you don't, then I actually had experienced this beforehand, but it will cause the experience to glitch out and it won't go anywhere. So please make sure that everything links together. But thank you for your time and have a good time.